Yes, in this segment, I would like to present to you about the data about Indonesia's tobacco and cigarettes industry. The first one will be about the net revenue and productivity of a cigarette-listed company in Indonesia in the year of 2018. We're going to see the first slide. This is the list of the emittents or the listed company in 2018. Yep. As you can see, the blue one is the net revenue of the listed companies in trillion rupiah, and the red one is the numbers of cigarettes produced in billion. Cigarette industry contribution is not small. From the side of the state revenue, cigarette access in 2018 raised about 153 trillion rupiah. But in the employment absorption, cigarette industry absorbs more than 7 million of labor. Even though the cigarette industry's role for the country is major, but the condition of the cigarette industry is considered not really good. Inclining access trend for tobacco industry, burdening industry's players. And how about the trend of Indonesia's state revenue from tobacco products access? We're going to see the next slide. As you can see, year by year, the trend of the state revenue from tobacco products access is raised and inclined year by year. As you can see, and as I mentioned before, in 2018, the state revenue from a tobacco product access had reached 153 trillion rupiah. State revenue from tobacco access in 2018 met the targets. Realization of state revenue from tobacco access achieved 106%. The biggest acceptance of country's revenue of 2018 was come from cigarette access. And how big is actually the number of cigarettes consumers in ASEAN? We're going to compare. This is the list of the numbers of consumers in tobacco in ASEAN region. As you can see, Indonesia has the huge or the biggest number in terms of cigarette consumers in ASEAN. The second position is Philippines with the number of the consumers of cigarettes, 16.5 million people. In Vietnam, 15.6 million people. Thailand, 10.68 million people. In Malaysia, 4.99 million people. And Singapore, 0.34 million people. Report of Southeast Asia Tobacco Control Alliance, or SEATCA. Indonesia is a state with the largest number of cigarettes consumers, as much as 65.19 million people. And the next slide will be about 5 world's biggest cigarette market. Actually, Indonesia is already listed in the list. As you can see, China is the world's biggest cigarette market, reaching 2.4 billion bars each year. And Indonesia is on the number of 0.3 billion bars. And then after Indonesia, we've got another country such as Russia, and then USA and Japan. Indonesia and China are the largest cigarette market in the world in 2018. Cigarette retail sales volume in Chinese reached 2.35 trillion cigarettes, and in Indonesia reaching 316.1 billion bars of cigarettes. And this cigarette sale volume in Indonesia increased 32.8% compared to 2017, as much as 238 billion bars. And the next data will be about percentage of tobacco access on retail price in Asean region. We're going to see how cheap actually the price of the cigarettes in these countries. As you can see, the cheapest price in the cigarette. Yeah, actually on the first slide. Okay. And tax-wise, Indonesia is still under other countries in implementing cigarette taxes on retail price. In ASEAN, the highest country applying cigarette taxes is Thailand, up to 70% of retail prices. Proposed by Singapore and Brunei, it's 66% and 62%. The consequences, cigarette price in Indonesia are still friendly with consumers' bags. Cigarette prices in Indonesia are around $1.4 per box for foreign brands. And that's it for the graphic presentation. And stay tuned on Market Alliance because we'll be right back after the break.